Good evening, my young viewer. It's Friday, which means you're already eagerly waiting, sitting by your YouTube receiver, for a new episode. And today, I can't disappoint you. So today, we'll find out why your fingers go numb. Is it dangerous for your life? What causes it? And how can you successfully deal with it? Have you ever heard of tunnel syndromes? Do you know what a tunnel is? Have you ever driven into a tunnel? Well, our nerves, this is the pectoralis minor muscle. Today, it will play one of the main roles for us. It comes off because it was attached incorrectly. No, it's correct. It starts from the third rib. Well, the tunnel. And our nerves pass through similar tunnels. What is a nerve? They're like wires that connect our entire body. The brain connects first through the spinal cord, which continues as large nerves. The nerve fiber pathways are in the spinal cord inside our spine. And between the vertebrae, you see right here, large nerves come out first, the nerve roots, which join together and then split into smaller nerves. And this connection between the brain and the rest of the body provides us with the functions of the entire organism. Not only do our arms and legs obey us thanks to this, but our internal organs also function. But if this connection is disrupted, if a nerve gets pinched somewhere, a distorted signal reaches the brain. Or the opposite. The signal from the brain reaches, for example, the hand in a distorted way. How does this happen? We have different types of nerves. There are sensory nerves, and sensitivity can also vary. Pain, temperature, and tactile sensitivity. And there is motor function, the motor fibers of the nerve. Let's take any nerve. Everyone has experienced numbness at some point. For example, if you spend time in an uncomfortable position during your leisure, the nerve can simply get pinched somewhere. This often occurs in uncomfortable positions, like when you cross your legs and your leg starts to go numb. This doesn't mean that something bad is happening. It's just that in some places, nerves run close to the surface. If you press on it and hold, it causes a distortion of the nerve's function, a slight ischemia of the nerve, a disruption of blood flow to the nerve, and it can temporarily lose its function. You will feel numbness. That's your body signaling you that nerve compression is happening in that area. Compression means it's being pinched. What's the danger? It's not just about losing sensitivity. Losing sensitivity isn't that bad. Losing motor function is much worse and more dangerous. And we have three nerves that innervate our hand. There's the ulnar nerve, the median nerve. These fingers show which ones it innervates. And the radial nerve, which is on the back side here. And depending on your luck and which nerve is compressed, you'll experience certain symptoms. Most often, it's the ulnar nerve that gets compressed. And in this case, these two fingers, the pinky and the ring finger, go numb, or sometimes just the pinky. This happens at several levels. You also need to know where it got pinched in order to release it, because its path is long. They all start right here, coming out of the intervertebral foramina. There are special holes between the vertebrae, and inside is the spinal cord. See, here it is, the yellow part here, and nerves branch off directly from it. Here they are. This is the root, the thickened part of the nerve, and then the nerve continues on. Then they can join together, forming nerve plexuses, and then they separate into individual nerves. Depending on where something is pinched, there may be numbness, loss of movement, or pain. It all depends on which part of the nerve is compressed or which nerve is affected. All its fibers can be motor, sensory, pain, or temperature sensitive, which also relates to sensitivity. But in some places, there are only motor fibers, so there won't be any pain. For example, the hand or foot might just hang like this and stop moving. With the radial nerve, it often happens that movement is impaired, so the hand just hangs like this and can't be lifted anymore. With the ulnar and median nerves, it's usually either pain or less often a loss of sensitivity. For example, you don't feel the fingertips, but this is more often with the median nerve. And we need to find out where they are being compressed so that we can release them as quickly as possible in those areas. The first level of compression is the intervertebral foramen, but usually there will be pain there, shooting pain, and most often it's compressed either by a hernia or by arthrosis of the joints. These joints between the vertebrae can become deformed, arthrosis with bone growths can develop there, and these bone growths start to sort of scratch the nerve root. At the same time, of course, there will be more of a shooting pain rather than a feeling of numbness. Although numbness can also occur, anything is possible. The next level is between the scalene muscles. In our body, we have 3 scalene muscles: the anterior, middle, and posterior scalene muscles. Here, we have the front part of the anterior muscle shown. The anterior scalene, here it is, you see, in red. And right behind it is the middle scalene muscle. Their feature is that they start from the transverse processes. These are the lateral processes of the cervical vertebrae. The anterior scalene muscle attaches to the upper rib, the first rib, this one, and the middle scalene muscle attaches to the second rib. And right between them passes the entire cervical plexus. It's exactly in this place, between the anterior and middle scalene muscles, very often. Right here, let's also draw the middle one, which goes to the second rib. And right between these muscles, the anterior and middle, the cervical plexus gets compressed. It's a very common site of compression. Besides that, what symptoms will appear along with numbness in the fingers, or numbness in the hand, or maybe even in a part of the arm? There will be a forward displacement of the head. The head moves forward like this. There will be limited rotation. It will be difficult to turn your head because the vertebrae are held by this muscle, and it doesn't turn. What else can happen? Limited movement to the sides. Headaches can occur because of the head shifting forward. The distance between the first vertebra and the occipital bone narrows, compressing the occipital nerve. This leads to headaches in the back of the head. In some cases, when the vertebral artery enters its canal atypically, when it also passes between the scalene muscles, compression of the vertebral artery is possible. There, the symptom will also be dizziness along with this. The next common site of nerve compression that affects all the nerves going to the arm is the pectoralis minor muscle. Here it is, right here. You see, it's not holding. It originates from the coracoid process of the scapula. Here on the scapula, you can see the coracoid process right here. The biceps tendon also attaches to it. The coracoid process of the scapula. And then it goes to the ribs, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ribs. And these nerves of ours, which first passed between the scalene muscles, they go here under the clavicle, then under the pectoralis minor muscle, like this. And only then do they come out onto the inner surface of the arm, the humerus. This is what is called the shoulder in anatomy. Not this, but this. If for some reason, for example, you need your arm to go numb, let's say this might be useful for some single men who want to set up a date with a stranger, for example. They can squeeze the nerves right here, hold it for a bit, and in about a minute, the arm will go numb. You can use this, a life hack, so to speak. But it's not recommended to do this too often. It's dangerous. The next level of compression happens not artificially like here, but naturally. This is the place where our ulnar nerve gets compressed. This happens in the area that's almost next to the attachment of the muscle called the flexor carpi ulnaris. Here it is located, and right here, the ulnar nerve passes straight through this muscle. It goes inside, right through the muscle. And in this spot, it often gets pinched. Numbness occurs in such people when they hold objects like a phone or a book, causing these 2 fingers to go numb. It happens very often because of this. And the third way third, or maybe not the third anymore. Are you keeping count yourself? The place where it gets compressed is the carpal tunnel, right here. This is where the ligament thickens. Instability of the bones occurs. They move apart a little, and the space for the nerves also decreases. Ligament hypertrophy can occur, or it can happen due to instability of these bones. They also move apart a little, and the ligament apparatus here gets stretched. This will also cause numbness, and also the pronator teres muscle. When it's weak, or on the contrary, when it's in spasm, the median nerve can also get compressed here. It can get pinched. So now we need to release all of this. The first level of compression is the scalene muscle, the anterior, the middle, as we already know. There are several ways to relax them. First, before relaxing them, you need to tense something else instead. What should you tense? The long neck extensor, which can't perform its function or hold the load. The head has shifted forward, so the first thing you need to do is strengthen it. That's why one of the exercises for strengthening the long neck extensor, I will show you a more difficult one and an easier one. An easier one for beginner athletes. For first-class athletes, juniors, people with osteochondrosis, for you, lie on your stomach face down, let your head hang slightly off the bed so it's hanging, and hold it like this, looking down at the floor, looking carefully. Hold it for 10 seconds. If you can hold it for 10, try 20. If it's not difficult, add some movement. Lean slightly forward and look down at a 45-degree angle. Look down at a 45-degree angle forward. The dynamic of this movement is a bit more difficult. If the first one is hard, just do the second one. But after that, the next exercise is a bit more challenging, a bit harder. The next level of difficulty involves using a towel. You place it under the back of your head near the wall. Stand up, put it right here, like this, and now step away from the wall, look up a bit at a 45-degree angle, and hold your position like that. In this position, the load shifts to the long neck extensor. The farther you step away from the wall, the more strain there will be on your neck. So don't go too far right away. Don't overestimate yourself. Stand in this position, and your long neck extensor will be working. At this moment, the scalene muscle relaxes quite well because all the load shifts to the back muscles. Besides that, what's good about this exercise is that your neck muscles get engaged. The lower part of them, because they're long, they start right from here. They go up like this. And very often, this whole part of the muscles is weak. This exercise allows you to put some load on them. After you've worked your neck extensors, you can start stretching the scalene muscles themselves. There are several options. If we just tilt our head to the side, the levator scapulae and trapezius muscles will stretch. To stretch the scalene muscle, you lift your head up a little, about 45 degrees, so your nose is pointing up. And then you tilt to the side. That's one way to stretch. The second option, if your trapezius is very tight and the levator scapulae muscle is very tight and they don't let you stretch the scalene muscle properly, then we move the scapula up a little. That is, we put our hand on something, but not by using the scapula's effort. We just place it on something like this. We lean our hand on something. And in this position, we do the same thing. First, try tilting your head so that your middle scalene muscle stretches. If you don't feel a strong stretch, try lifting your head up a little. This will also stretch the anterior muscle. That's it. Do the movement. Stretch, relax, stretch, relax. If you feel any pain, then this exercise isn't suitable for you. If the pain radiates into your arm, or if the numbness increases, then you shouldn't do this. Then go ahead and do a gentler stretch. Do this one. Place your hand on your shoulder and turn your nose so that it's pointing toward your elbow. place your fingers behind your sternocleidomastoid muscle. This is the muscle right here, you see? One of the largest in the front, and you place your fingers right behind it. And now, keeping your head in this position with your nose pointing toward your elbow and your fingers on the scalene muscle, you won't hit the anterior or middle one exactly, but do slight finger movements forward or back, and you will land on one of them. Tilt your head toward your left ear. I'm tilting it now. And now, toward your right ear. And keep your fingers in place, sliding them down along the skin. This way, you start stretching your anterior scalene muscle. And you move your fingers a little forward, a little back, a little forward, a little back. This is how you stretch it. This is a good, safe stretch for the scalene muscle. On both sides, you turn your head and run your fingers like this. Here you definitely need to turn your head, and you need this tilt. If you do it in just one position, it's not as effective. Because the muscle is quite long, it actually starts from the second cervical vertebra. The upper part of it can be shortened, and the lower part can be shortened as well. That's why you'll have to do this along the entire length of the neck. The next level is the pectoralis minor muscle. Here you can stretch it in a doorway, or you can stretch it in a corner. You can also stretch the right and left muscles alternately. To do this, stand near a wall, place one hand like this on the wall, and now start turning away from your hand. And here we feel the tension. It appears in the area of the pectoralis minor muscle. This way, you can stretch the right and left sides separately. Place your hand on one side, then on the other side. If you change the position of your hand, different parts of the muscle will be stretched. There may be shortening of both the pectoralis major and the pectoralis minor muscles here. Usually this happens at the same time. So stretch both of them, the right and the left. But it doesn't just shorten on its own. Its shortening happens because of the weakness of the opposing muscle. Which one is that? That's the upper trapezius, middle trapezius, lower trapezius, and the rhomboid muscles. To put a load on the upper part of the trapezius and the rhomboid muscle, you take a roller, place it down, and lie so that it's near your head. You put your hands on the roller and start lifting your elbows up. You support yourself with your hands on it. Your head rests on your forehead. Lift up, lower down. Lift up, lower down. Try to raise your elbows higher than your ears. Hold briefly, then lower. Do 2 or 3 sets like this to work the antagonist muscles of the pectoralis minor. Notice that your shoulder will rotate after this. When the pectoralis minor muscle shortens, one of the symptoms besides numbness and weakness in the arms is also shoulder displacement. It tilts forward like this. You slouch. The arm is turned like this. Forearm. Relax it, massage it. It's most convenient to use a chair with a backrest. Sit on it. Find this part on the pinky side where your flexor carpi ulnaris is, and starting from the upper part of the lower third of the forearm, massage it. Like this. At this moment, you might feel some numbness. If you found a spot where your fingers start to go numb, that's exactly where the nerve is being compressed. If, while you're working on your hand, your fingers bend a little, that's normal. All the muscles that bend your fingers actually start from here. So, first work on this part and also the middle part. Right here. Just in case. To also release the median nerve. Well, then you can do a few stretching exercises for these muscles. To do this, stand near a wall, place your hand like this. It's better to start lower at first. If you feel tension here, just hold it. If you don't feel it, you can place your hand a bit higher, like this. So this relaxes these forearm muscles. That's one option near the wall, and the second option is at the table. For example, you can do it like this. You stand up, put your hands like this, stretch them out like this, but this is a bit more advanced and complicated. Well, see what feels comfortable for you to do. You can stretch like this, just slowly. The main thing is to stretch. If you pull too much, then start from here and later do 90 degrees here. But at first, it's better to massage this area. So, friends, these are the main ways you can get rid of numbness and weakness in your hands. Because if you suddenly feel weakness, you pick up an object and it often falls out of your hand, that's rarely related to weakness in the hand itself. Most often, it's either the pectoralis minor muscle pinching the nerve that goes to your hand or the scalene muscles here. So everyone who has done these exercises, now take a pen with your stronger hand and write a comment under the video. And also leave a couple of likes. As usual, subscribe and see you in the next episodes.